Today's lesson is all about how you organise and differentiate between chords. And this is to ensure that you remember them and that you're able to find arpeggios and chord tones easily on the neck. Because learning your chord tones can feel like a very daunting process, and it is if you don't think about it smartly and efficiently, which is what today's about. If you're new here, my name's Andy, jazz guitar lessons every Wednesday and Saturday. Hit that subscribe button if you're new here, and let's get on to the lesson. Let's take the chords which are the building blocks of most jazz standards. Major 7, minor 7, minor 7 flat 5 and dominant 7th. Now if we did all those chords in 12 keys and I said, right, you need to learn the notes of those chords, that's going to be, in 12 keys, it's 48 chords, 192 notes. And you're probably thinking that's a hell of a lot of information to try and get into my head. Some people will find that quite straightforward, others will really struggle with that or never get it. You might be thinking, well, why do I need to know that? Well, because if you want to solo convincingly in a jazz context, you really need to be able to outline the harmony, which is if it's a C minor 7, can you hit the chord tones of that? If it's an E flat major 7, can you find the chord tones of that? There's more to it than that, obviously, but those are so fundamental to just outlining a good solo, because it's quite often said that a decent jazz solo, you'd be able to tell what chords or what standard this person's soloing over if someone's soloing without any backing. In this lesson, I really want to show you how learning all of those chords, you can make light work of it if you think about it smartly and efficiently. Because if you don't know your chord tones, your solos just simply will not hit the mark. And I have 3 steps to achieve this. And the 3 steps are, step 1, know the intervals of the chords. Step 2 is be able to find that on the guitar in different places. And step 3 is be able to differentiate the similarities and differences between those chords. And whilst you're practicing all of this, sing what you play. You'll really thank yourself later. It will help you when it comes to improvising. So let's start with the intervals, knowing your intervals of each chord. And I'll put this on the screen. So here's a table on the screen with the intervals of those 4 chord types. We've got a major 7 chord being made up of a root, major 3rd, perfect 5th and major 7th. A dominant 7th being made up of a root, major 3rd, perfect 5th, minor 7th. The minor 7 chord being made up of root, minor 3rd, perfect 5th, minor 7th. Minor 7 flat 5 being made up of root, minor 3rd, flat 5 and minor 7th. Let's be sensible when you see. And we're going to map out the intervals of those 4 chords on the guitar in relation to the roots. On the E string, so fret 8 being C. So there's our root. We can get the minor 3rd on the same string, E flat, there at fret 11. We could also get it on the A string, 2 frets down. There, so C to E flat, there's the minor 3rds. So we would need that for the minor 7 chord or the minor 7 flat 5 chord. C to E would be our major 3rd. So you can get it on the same string, fret 12. We can get it on the string beneath, the A string, fret lower. So we've got minor 3rds, major 3rds. And our next interval is the 5th. And we have a flat 5, probably easier just to get it on the A string here. Tritone interval. Then we've got the perfect 5th there, 2 frets higher on the A string. And finally our 7ths, we've got the minor 7th or flat 7, same fret on the D string, and the major 7, fret 9, fret higher on the D string too, back to C. So we can then go back to our table and based on intervals find what we want. So let's take major 7, we need root, major 3rd which we could get on the A string there, perfect 5th on the same string, fret 10, and then there's the 7th. So if we wanted a dominant 7th, all we need to do is change one interval. Dominant 7th has a minor 7th rather than a major 7th, so we're just going to go. So it's got C, E, G, B flat rather than C, E, G, B. Now it's best to look at the minor chords, the minor bass chords in relation to each other, so the minor 7 and the minor 7 flat 5. So the minor chord being C, E flat, minor 3rd, G, B flat, 7th. The minor 7 flat 5 chord being the same, but just with a flat 5. So with a G flat or F sharp instead of the G. So if we play through those again, C major 7, C dominant 7, C minor 7, C minor 7 flat 5. Obviously you can hear the difference, but it's very visual then as to how it is. It's not, oh, 8, 7, 10, 8. That's nonsense. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's no help to you. Don't think like that. You want to think notes, intervals. And I've just put a drone of a C on, and you could practice this to that so you can hear the differences as well. So major 7, dominant 7th, minor 7, minor 7 flat 5, What's the character of each chord? How do you describe them? I've got the drone going again, and we're going to try and find all of this starting on each string to try and map this out over the neck. So let's go A string, C, then find C major 7. It's exactly the same in terms of how it falls as our major 7. Dominant 7, so just lower that 7th, minor 7, minor 7 flat 5, lower the 5th. Let's find the same thing on the D string. Now things change a bit here because of the tuning of the guitar. So the note on the B string is a fret higher than it has been. There's C major 7, C dominant 7, just lower that 7th. C minor 7, C minor 7 flat 5, lower that 5th. G string. Sorry, let's go major 7 first. So these aren't, that's a nice sound, isn't it? Yeah. Dominant 7th. Minor 7, minor 7 flat 5. So as you can see there, it's very systematic. Right, let's start on a root of each one. Ooh, how are you going to remember all this stuff? How are you going to remember the different notes? Well, hopefully by seeing the similarities that, you know, like major 7 and dominant 7 differ just by the 7th. You know, compare a minor 7th to a dominant 7th. What's the difference? It's just the third. One has a minor third, one has a major third. They both have the same 7th, the same 5th, and the same root. You know, it's seeing the similarities and differences. Hearing them as well. Sing those as you play them so you can sing the intervals of each chord type. You might need to write all the chords down with all the names down. You might be blessed you can just, with a good memory, and you can remember all that stuff. I had like a notebook and I used to write this sort of stuff in. But just make a commitment to thinking in notes. So next time you play through a song or a standard and you're playing chords, instead of just playing them passively, stop to think, right, what are the notes in these chords that I'm playing? What are the 4 notes, 3 notes, depending on whether it's a triad or a 4-note chord? Because if these chords are just shapes to you, if you want to play like lead guitar and solo and improvise, it's not enough. It's not enough. You need to know those shapes as the ingredients that they are, the intervals that make them sound like they do. Think about the notes you're playing, sing it, think about the intervals. You could just work in one key like we did, I say one key, one root. You could do C, then next time do G, get it all clear in one first. And the end goal is for you to be able to look at a sequence of chords like a jazz standard and instantly know, like, right, I know that, C major 7, C, E, G, B, C minor 7, C, E flat, G, B flat, and just, it should be quick, it should be instant recall. Because if you want to find these things in the moment, you know, you don't want to be thinking about it. And to be honest, you learn this to the point where you forget about it, if anything, and it just becomes sounds on the fretboard you can go after. If we applied this to a standard, let's take the first line of How High the Moon. So G major 7, G minor 7, C 7. Okay, so G major 7, what was our ingredients for that? It was root, major third, perfect 5th, major 7th. So let's find that from a G. G on the 10th fret and the A string. We can get the 3rd there, or we could go there, but let's get it there. There's the 5th, there's our major 7. So G, B, D, F sharp. Next chord G minor 7. So we need to find the ingredients of that. So root, minor 3rd, perfect 5th, flat 7. So far we've got G major 7, G minor 7, and C 7. Let's find the root. Oh, we could go to the E string where we started, but let's go to the D string because it's close. Oh, we now need root 3rd, 5th, flat 7. So what it comes down to, you know, like, you know, if you put yourself on a G, you know where the possible intervals are in relation to that for all those chords. So resources from today in terms of those interval mapping and those arpeggios for the 4 main chord types is available on my website for free. Be sure to download that PDF and you know, really think about how you're going to practice this, how you're going to memorize this stuff. It's really important. Please leave me a comment if you've got any questions or comments on today's lesson. Hit that like button. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. I do lessons like this, jazz guitar lessons, every Wednesday and Saturday. And I really like to try to focus on not just showing you stuff, but showing you how to practice, how to try to think, or how to work towards thinking. There's no one method for learning jazz guitar. No one's come up with a perfect method. I don't presume that my way is absolute and perfect. It's just things that have worked for me, ideas I've developed, ideas other people have shown me or I've learned from other people, and it's just about sharing my experience of learning with you and my experience of teaching others with you, and how you engage with that might be different, you know, to how I have, and you know, you will follow your own path with it, but I'm suggesting things and you need to think about how you're going to incorporate those suggestions into your practice if you want to make a commitment to learning the notes on the neck and in all of your chords. Anyway, see you next time, Wednesday and Saturday for jazz guitar lessons. Be sure to stick around for my next upload, and see you soon.